coming to you slick with my slick pony and my big forehead, but I'm also coming to you with the ultimate glute tips that will honestly, I'm not just saying it, it's gonna change your glute workouts. How many of you have gone to the gym, you're ready, you're following this plan, or you're following a workout you found online, and you simply cannot feel any contraction, you cannot get a glute pump, and you just feel like your hamstrings or your quads are taking over? Well, stay tuned, because listen up, okay? Let me show you something. I have written so many notes to help you guys out so you can get the best glute workout you've literally ever had. I'm just putting it out there. Okay, let's get into the video. Tip number 1. Are you activating your glutes? I know you may have heard this around activation, booty activation is key, but it honestly is. If you're someone who has a 9-to-5 job or even a student, you will find yourself sitting down majority of the day, which means your glutes are not active. Also, if you're someone who suffers from a lot of knee problems, it could be because you're not training your glutes, 1, often enough, and 2, effectively enough. So if you're someone who has knee problems, definitely incorporate some form of glute exercises into your regime. Now, when I talk about activation, what I want you to start doing is invest 5 to 10 minutes of your glute workout just to focus on activation. And a simple activation could be some kickbacks, some leg swings, simple frog pumps, glute bridges, you name it. Even walking lunges will activate your quads, your hamstrings, and your glutes, so you get an all-rounder. What I also want you to start doing is incorporating a resistance band into your activations. I know loads of people do amazing resistant bands. Amazon is where I got my band from. Also, Grace Fit UK does some amazing glute bands, so definitely check that out. I'm going to list below in the description box an amazing activation that I want you to give a go before your next glute session with a resistance band. Number 2, are you incorporating hip thrusts into your glute training regime? Now, hip thrusts are an amazing isolating exercise that really focus on the glute max. And the glute max is literally the majority of your glute. Now, the beauty about hip thrust is, honestly, if you do it correctly, you will feel it in your glutes so much. Now, if you're doing hip thrust already, but you cannot seem to feel that contraction that you want so badly, what I want you to ask yourself is, 1, is the bench too high? The bench should be just below your shoulder blades. If you're 5'3" and under, you will need a lower bench. So don't go just grabbing any bench and thinking that's sufficient enough. Your shoulder blades should be underneath and comfortably resting on the bench. If you're still not feeling your hip thrust, another thing that I want you to do is elevate your feet. Find some form of elevation to place your feet on top. This will help with range of motion. It could just be you're not getting enough of a range of motion to allow your glutes to contract at the top. So by adding a form of elevation, especially if you're flexible and you're a shorty, it will help with your contraction. Another thing that you could do with hip thrust as well is ask yourself, are you tucking your chin in and scooping your tailbone into your body? Now, I don't want you just to thrust the weight up. I want you to really focus on your form and the range of motion. So tuck your chin in, look forward or even look down, and also keep your core as stable and as straight as possible. I want you to imagine that your tailbone is an ice cream scooper and you're scooping your tailbone in to get the optimum contraction. Hopefully these 3 things will truly help transform your hip thrusts. The next thing I want you to try is something called Preexhaust. Now, if you're doing the Toner Sculpt app, you will know that in your glute days, I have added a Preexhaust. Now, basically, what I want you to do is 20 reps of maybe a hyperextension, Superman, or even kickbacks before you do your first working set. So Preexhaust has to be an isolating glute movement. So something like a kickback, something like a glute bridge, or even hyperextensions, which I love so much. I just love them because I can honestly feel such a contraction at the top of my glutes. Incorporate about 20 reps of this before your first working set, and I promise you your glutes will be so fired up and pumped So then when you go into your working set, you will feel it much, much more. Now the next tip is something I tend to do, and I will admit I use this too much at the gym. Too much. I use you too much. Now, the reason I mention that is because sometimes what happens is in your rest period, if you're not timing your rest, now I don't expect you to time absolutely every single set and rest, that will just be draining. But to begin with, you need to kind of understand how long your body needs to rest. Sometimes I find myself thinking that I've rested only for 30 to 40 seconds, when really it's been 3 to 4 minutes because I've spoken to Jim, Dylan, Bob, and Max at the gym. So next time, what I want you to do is just time your rest just to begin with. Now, the reason being, it keeps you focused, it keeps your glutes pumped, and also you're not allowing a too big a gap between each working set. So shorten your rest periods and also time your rest periods if you can. And I don't expect you to do this in the future, just to begin with, to kind of see how long your body needs. In my personal opinion, before sets and rest, I tend to have, depending on what I'm doing, but if I'm lifting a lot of weight, if it's a heavy day, I will rest for about 1 minute and 1.5 minutes between working sets. If I'm doing a light to moderate glute day, I will rest for about 40 seconds in between working sets. This enables my glutes to consistently stay pumped. The next thing I want you to do is start incorporating resistance bands into your working sets. Now, as I mentioned, you can find amazing resistance bands out there. I'm sure you will find one. Now, also the reason being is because you might just need that extra bit of tension. So next time you're doing any form of leg abductions, any form of leg press, glute bridges or hip thrust, or even squats, use a resistance band. If you find your knees caving in with any exercise, you have to constantly remind yourself to push your knees out. Now, resistance band will actually help this. The reason being is because you will feel your knees going in much more, so naturally you will want to tell yourself, right, knees out, push your knees out. And it is essential that you just focus on form. Form is key. I don't care how much you're lifting, if your form is majorly sacrificed in the process of you lifting this much weight, you are not performing the exercise effectively enough, and worst of all, your muscles are not going to feel it. Now, you're going to end up straining yourself, and God forbid anybody injures themselves. Now, I know a lot of men tend to go gym and they just like, their egos get in the way, but baby girl, the ego trainers out there. Okay, we're all about form, we're all about effectiveness here. I want you to consider is, are you just performing isolating glute movements? If you're performing various of different glute isolating exercises, that is amazing. But ask yourself, are you also incorporating any compound movements? I firmly believe that you need a mixture of isolating movements with compound movements to get the best results possible. Now, various of different compound movements could be a sumo deadlift, even a stiff leg deadlift. Now, these are two compound movements which I absolutely adore on glute day and always incorporate. Especially when it comes to my sumo deadlifts, I really feel optimum contraction in my glutes compared to, let's say, a conventional deadlift. I know other people feel stiff leg deadlifts much more. So yet again, test it out, see what feels right for you, and you just never know. You might be a sumo deadlift kind of girl or a stiff leg deadlift kind of girl. The last tip I'm going to give you for the day, the last tip with Krissy for the day, is, are you incorporating any form of finisher or a glute pumper at the end of your session to get that optimum glute pump? Now, essentially what a pumper is just a finisher that you burn out your glutes completely. You're going to pick 1 or 2 isolated movements to perform right at the end of your workout. And what I want you to do is about 2 sets, 20 reps. Really high rep, you're just using your body weight here to get that burn. Baby, feel that burn. Hey. Now, what I love doing is frog pumps. I absolutely adore frog pumps. You just place your feet together, have your knees pointing outwards as much as possible, and just pump your booty as much as possible. 20 reps, 2 sets, that's all you need. Glute finisher, and you're done. You're done. That is it, guys. I truly hope just even one of these tips helped you and you use them on your next booty day. Comment below and let us know, let the family know which tip that you are going to do in the gym next time, or a tip that you can share with all of us. I truly hope you love this video. Make sure that you are subscribed to this channel and make sure that you are following me on Instagram. A simple thumbs up does a lot for this channel and it truly helps support your girly. Comment down below for any future videos that you would like to see, and remember that I truly love you always and forever. Bye.